Hi, my name is Tim Hess. I'm executive producer for Boss Team Games.
So Tim, you're here showing RetroRealms. So talk about where the idea for these games came from.
RetroRealms was born from the idea of how can we utilize this famous iconic evergreen horror IP that we have access to and create something that allows these characters to cross over into each other's worlds.
Now, I remember there was a kind of a tease of it. A new Halloween game is in development, and people immediately thought ASIM. And then when you launched it, it was this amazing 2D platformer, Mega Man-esque Splatterhouse game. What made you decide to go that route instead of 3D?
Doing a pixel art game and a platformer game gives us a little bit more flexibility when it comes to how we build the universe. As I mentioned, we've got all this IP that we want to bring together, and it's easier to do that in a non-3D space. Once you make it look real, it becomes real. The IP and the characters and the settings and movie 5 and movie 10, they're realistic in the sense that crossing over becomes complicated. With a pixel art universe, we're able to create our own storyline. So while Halloween is based off of the '79 film, the first Halloween film, and Ash vs. Evil Dead is based off the series, and users can expect to see familiar characters, locations, items, objects, it's still our take on each one of those universes. So it kind of builds away from what those films or that TV series is. Because you don't want to play the same film and rehash through the same scenes, the same neighborhoods, the same things that you saw in the film. So we wanted to make it fresh and exciting by building an expansive universe based on the crossover concept.
Talk about what RetroRealms is. You mentioned it's an arcade that your studio wants to build on.
RetroRealms as a whole is the collection of multiple IP in the horror space. And we've built this arcade, an actual building that you download, and it's a 3D environment that you get to walk around. And there's an arcade inside that building. And these arcades are machines that consist of Halloween and Ash vs. Evil Dead. There are props that you can unlock in the game. There's trailers that you can watch. And the hope is that as we add more games to this franchise, that this hub will also expand more arcade machines, posters, objects, trailers, content.
You guys are working with Way Forward. What's that been like?
They're awesome. There was no other choice for us when we decided to do these games and go down that path. They have worked with Hollywood IP. They've created their own IP. They're deep in nostalgic gameplay, and they were the right and only choice, and we hope to continue working with them on future projects.
Now, you don't just play as Michael and Ash in these games. You have other characters you can play with as well. Talk a little about that.
That's correct. Two of our DLC characters, we have Laurie Strode and we have Kelly Maxwell. Laurie Strode from Halloween, Michael's sister, and Kelly Maxwell from Ash vs. Evil Dead. What's unique about this game is you can buy Ash vs. Evil Dead or Halloween. They're both sold separately. Each game has its own piece of DLC, but when you own both games or more games, any of the games that you own can be played by any of the characters that you own. You buy Halloween, you can play Michael through Halloween. If you want to buy the DLC, you can play Laurie, his sister, through Halloween. If you then decide to buy Ash vs. Evil Dead, you can then take Michael through Ash vs. Evil Dead, or you can take Ash through Halloween. And subsequently, any of the DLC characters for any game can be played in any other game.
And each of these characters have unique movesets and abilities, correct?
Correct. Dialogue changes for every character. So while you're playing through the same overarching scenario, you still get different dialogue beats, you get different weaponry, you get different movesets. They all play differently. Michael is more of a tank. Kelly and Laurie is more agile. Same for Ash. They all play differently. It's a very unique experience with each one.
What are you most looking forward to for people to get their hands on Halloween and Ash vs. Evil Dead for RetroRealms?
Just to see how fucking cool it is. It's a labor of love for everyone involved. It's super cool IP. It's classic gameplay. It's exactly when you see a trailer or you see a screenshot of what this is, your first instinct is exactly right. That's how that game feels. That's how that game plays.
Inspirations on the design of just the characters and the gameplay that you guys pulled from?
Lots of classic Konami games. I'll leave it at that. That's the safe answer.
So when did the games come out? Are they releasing it at the same time?
Both games release on October 18th, both digitally and retail.
On what platforms too?
everything. So Xbox One, Series X, S, PS4, PS5, Steam, and Nintendo Switch.
Just as a fun question, like PS4 and the Xbox One are still being supported this far into a new console life cycle. Like that's amazing. I've never seen this before, I think, in decades.
As a gamer, you know, the consoles have been powerful, really powerful, and I think we're sort of at that end of that constant iterative life cycle. Same with video cards. It happened for a while. You kind of hit that point where how much of an improvement am I really going to get? And of course, from a publishing point of view, building a game like this, and we can still run on Xbox One and PS4 and Switch, there's a huge audience there that maybe they didn't upgrade, or maybe they're waiting to skip a gen for PS6 or whatever Xbox comes out with next, right? So we can still hit those platforms. It all runs at max resolution for the consoles. It plays the same. There's no edge to any one of them. We wanted to keep it, and we didn't need to. It doesn't need all the bells and whistles to make it look good. It already looks good on everything, Switch included.
And then the last question I have for you, Tim, is I know this is a hard question to answer, but you want to live in this horror IP world. Is there any IP you dream of putting in this game that you really want, that maybe you haven't locked down yet, that you can talk about? Or what's your dream IP for RetroRealms?
I can't answer that. I really can't answer it.